back-to-back champions. I got the pictures. I got the rings. I got everything to prove that. Michael Jordan or Last Dance not validating that doesn't bother me. I just know that we're champions.
Hi everyone, I'm Patty Smith with the Harris County Houston Sports Authority, and welcome to this week's edition of Queued Up. The Q, of course, has always been for quarantine, and we are about 9 weeks into that, this being our 9th show. And while things are loosening up and people are out and about, things are opening up, we hope that you are doing it safely. And for those of you that are still staying home and gaming together in partnership with our Houston Outlaws, well, we'll be showing those videos a little bit later on in the show. But up tonight, we have a very special guest. In fact, he's a 3-time NBA champion. He was named one of the top 10 Houston Rockets of all time. He's the Junkyard Dog, and it just happens to be the 25th anniversary of one of the most famous shots in not only Rocket history, but NBA history, the Kiss of Death. It's Mario Elie, and he is queued up. All right, joining me now, Mario Elie, for this episode of Queued Up. Mario, you've been queued for quarantine for a couple months. I know we're starting to get out now, which has been great, but tell us what you've been doing these last couple of months.
As you know, I have triplets, Patty, and they're 17 years old now. It's just keep them in the house is very hard because they're kids that used to being out, and it's funny that you say that. I just talked to my daughter the other day. He said, "Dad, is this how 17 supposed to be? I can't go out and hang out with my friends." I said, "Babe, this virus is just what it's doing to us. So this is our new norm for now." I feel bad for her because when we were 17, Pat, we were out having fun, doing what we want to do, being with our friends. She does miss her friends a lot, but we gave each kid 2 friends they can only visit during this pandemic. So they've been real good at that. And I'm doing some Zoom schoolwork. I've been doing a bunch of Zoom interviews and phone interviews and doing housework, garden work, working the boys out, working my daughter out. So now this is the new norm. So we're sort of used to it now. We sort of have a routine now.
What do you miss the most?
I just miss the freedom of going out. I haven't seen a lot of my friends. I talk to them on the phone or I FaceTime them. I don't have a lot of close friends, but the friends I do have, I don't get a chance to really sit down and visit with them. So that's been tough. And the most important thing is not having sports. I'm a big baseball guy, basketball guy. Going into basketball playoffs, baseball, everybody's excited about the baseball season. You don't have that. So that's been tough. Not able to go see my mom in New York. I'm waiting for it to really, really calm down where I can go out there and see her. My mom needs 24-hour care. Thank God my sister's there taking care of her. She's a saint, so I miss seeing my family in New York and stuff like that. I miss going to the gym. Going to the gym now is an adventure. You got to bring gloves. You got to get temperature. You got to wipe everything down. It's crazy. When somebody coughs, I get paranoid or sneeze. I shouldn't be doing that, but that's how the virus has everybody on edge.
Yeah, and you talk about, lack of sports, which is really the main reason we started doing this show. And we kind of jumped on these Zoom calls early on back in March, knowing that, when tragedies happened before, whether it was a 9/11 or a hurricane, sports was kind of that thing that brought us all back together again. It was that distraction. And without it, there's a huge void.
Huge, because I just remember, great point, Patty. I remember 9/11, they had a big baseball game in Yankee Stadium. And that's sports sort of takes you away from stuff for a couple hours where you don't have to think about it. And that was great about being an athlete. You can be going through stuff off the court, but once you step between the lines for that 3 hours, you can get away from everything and focus on your craft. And that's, that's what sports does for you. It takes you away from what's going on, and you sort of locked in on that moment. So you're right. Without sports, you don't have that right now. So I'm watching Korean baseball. I'm watching Bundesliga soccer with cardboard fans in the stands. So I'm kind of glad soccer's back. I'm a big soccer fan, so I'm glad the Bundesliga is back at least. And they are taking precautions. There's nobody in the stands. Everybody who works there has masks. So this is going to be the new normal just for a little while. Hopefully they can find a vaccine sooner rather than later.
Well, and it is slowly starting to come back. Baseball, the players are allowed in some of their camps now. Basketball, NBA, we're hearing some, down in Orlando, maybe at Disney. What are your thoughts of the return to basketball as we've heard it so far? And I'm sure you've probably talked to some other players. How are the players adjusting to this?
Well, I love sports. I'd rather have basketball with no fans than no basketball, period. And then, it's a business also, Patty. There's a lot of money, TV money and being lost. So I think that's why a lot of these sports are coming back, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Sports is just entertainment. And like I mentioned earlier, it takes you away. I would take anything to see some basketball. I don't care if there's no fans, but I would like for the league to give guys ample time to get in shape first and foremost, and maybe have 5 or 6 games before the playoffs. To me, it's difficult. You've been involved in covering playoffs, Patty. You know the intensity level with each game in the playoffs is very important. So if we rush these guys back and throw them right into a playoffs, you're risking injury to key players. You can pull a hamstring like football. When football sort of had that law and you bringing guys back, a lot of guys got hurt. So I just don't want the quality to be down with stars are getting hurt. Give guys like a month to get ready, maybe give them 6 or 7 games to sort of get them ready, so like a preseason, then jump into the playoffs. I don't want guys just jumping right into the playoffs, because a lot is on the line.
So you anticipate, or you would just want to see going kind of whoever those 8 teams are, go straight to the playoffs, not finishing out the season, just having some sort of preseason, going to the playoffs, and your biggest concern is injury.
Yes. I mean, you can't bring all the teams back. I heard Dame Lillard comments. He said, if I don't have a chance to go to the playoffs, I wouldn't play. I mean, you're getting paid a lot of money to play this game and to entertain folks. So it's your job to go out there and play, regardless of the situation. I think they said I think we played 66 games so far. I think they said it takes 70 games to sort of, qualify for the TV contract they got. I think they can make that happen by adding a couple regular season games before they start the playoff.
So let's look at this Rocket. Well, actually, it could be any team, but specifically the Rockets. I mean, these guys, I don't know if you stayed, if you're in touch with any of them or whatever, but how difficult is it? And granted, you in your playing days didn't have to go through a pandemic, but maybe it was an injury, a layoff of some sort. How difficult is it for these guys to be at that point where they're 60 games in, really kind of in the peak of it, have it kind of come to an abrupt stop, and then, you don't have a whole season to start over again?
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned too when I had a lot of Zooms with a lot of, talking sports. You're right, Patty. As an athlete in March, as far as basketball, you're in your best shape. You're getting ready for the playoffs. You went through a grind of an NBA season, and that's important. Guys are in their peak performance, getting their mind ready, month left, ready to go into the playoffs. And like you mentioned, boom, it's cut off. And to get these guys restarted again, I understand you working out with your trainer and all that stuff, but it's not the same when you get together as a group, grind it out, get the camaraderie going. A lot of these guys been working out at different parts of the country because a lot of guys don't live where they play. They work out other places. You see James is in Phoenix working out, even though he looks outstanding, very proud of him. He's been making great use of his quarantine time. I'm hoping the rest of the Rockets are doing that, because if you have a small lineup, you better be in the best shape and score a lot of points if we want to do any damage in the playoffs.
So let's talk about this Rocket team as it was before. You've watched them, and you watch a lot of basketball all season long. As you mentioned, a small team, a very athletic team. Just your thoughts on how this group has come together, the chemistry. Everybody had a lot of questions about, Harden and Westbrook and how that would play out. But from what you've seen, just your thoughts on how far this team can go.
We have a dynamic backcourt. I love, Harden and Russ, both from California. Of course, they grew up playing together. The chemistry is great out there with them. I wasn't worrying about that. I'm worrying about the rest of the guys and size. I'm not worrying about size, particularly during the regular season. But you wouldn't get into the playoffs, Patty. You're going to see Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, Gilbert, Jokic. You're going to see some very good big players. You telling me a PJ Tucker for a 7-game series can slow these guys and stop these guys down? I don't think so. I remember the Knicks game. The Knicks got 38 offensive rebounds on the Rockets. Even though they're a bad team, the Rockets almost won that game, but the Knicks end up winning. I just feel in the playoffs, when you give good teams extra opportunities, it's going to come back and bite you in the butt. You know, the bad teams you can recover from, Patty, but when you play the top-notch teams, you give good teams, Doncic, Chris Paul, and OKC Thunder, all these good teams extra possessions, it's going to come back and burn you. So the size is what really bothers me on the team. They're going to have to really make a lot of threes. James and Russ, and it puts pressure on James and Russ. They got to be perfect every game. Them two guys got to at least average 35 points to me throughout the playoffs for the Rockets to even have a chance to advance deep into the playoffs.
Who do you think is the best player? Give me one or two, maybe even three best players in the NBA right now.
I'm going Giannis, LeBron, Harden, Kawhi, Anthony Davis. You know, so those are my 5 guys. And I know KD's hurt, but when he comes back, I'll throw him right in the mix. That guy's a special talent. But those are the guys I really enjoy play night in and night out because they bring it every night. You know, the great players bring it every night. I had the pleasure of playing with the great Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. Those two guys run the heat every night. You know, when you got players like that, you always feel you have a chance to win.
Yep, and we're going to talk about them in just a little bit, but this week we just passed, or last week, the 25th anniversary of the Kiss of Death shot. First of all, how on earth has it been 25 years already? I mean, that seems like it was just yesterday, first of all. Are we getting old or is time just flying, or both?
You see me here, Patty. We get old, girl. We get old out here, but you still look great. But it's fun, you know, and my kids get a kick out of it. Said, Dad, they still remember your old butt? I'm like, yeah, I did something pretty special here, and my kids get a little kick out of it. That's what I like. You know, when I'm rolling around with my kids, they don't call me Mario Elie. They say, what's up, Kiss of Death? What's up, Kiss of Death? So it's good to be part of a great moment like that in a great city. I'm glad I was part of a team to bring Houston their first major championship 2 years in a row on a back-to-back. And this has been just a great place for me. I'm born and raised from New York. Houston is my second home, and I really got used to being down here. Love Texas, love our fans down here. And I want to be around for the Rockets to win another title. I'm hoping that can happen in my lifetime.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. But that was, again, like we said, 25 years ago. It was back in 1995, the Game 7, second round against the Suns. You know, so much was involved in that series, actually that entire season, so much adversity. But I don't know if a lot of people knew, you know, and I guess hearing it this week, because you've talked about it a number of times, but, you know, that story with Joe Klein, can you just, you know, without going into all of the whole background of all of it, but take us through that moment, because it does. You are synonymous with it, and it will forever follow you.
And we were just having fun. I mean, we're not really, me and Joe laugh about it. I did an interview with Eddie Johnson. I heard they said Joe Klein called in and laughed. It was just a fun game me and him were having. You know, we were getting each other under each other's skin. So every time he scored, he blew a kiss to me. Every time I scored, I blew a kiss to him. So it was going back and forth throughout the series. And of course, Patty, you know who gets the last and the most important kiss. So when I blew the kiss, I looked right at him. And if you see the celebration, I'm just staring at the Phoenix bench the whole time. I really don't feel my teammates on me. I'm caught up in the moment of looking at Joe, watching him turn red and blowing him a kiss of death. And he's over there just frowning over there. And I'm looking at him. And it was just a great moment for our team. Like you mentioned, Patty, the circumstances being down 3-1, having to win 2 games in Phoenix. And Phoenix was a good ball club. 2 years in a row going against these guys, Barkley, KJ, Marley, Ainge. They had a good ball club. So to battle those guys 2 years in a row in a Game 7 and to win on the road being down 3-1, that was pretty neat.
Yeah. And I mean, you say it all with a smile on your face now, but when you're doing that at that time and your teammates are all over you and you're just staring him down, you were mean mugging him. So you weren't quite as friendly then as you were right now.
No, no. It was in the heat of battle. Once I stepped between them lines, Patty, it's war. I'm with my team. The other team is the enemy. And I mentioned 2 years in a row battling them guys. 2 straight years, 2 game 7s. Barkley talking a lot of mess and shutting up Charles Barkley, and that's very hard to do. But we did it. 2 years in a row. Great player, great friend. I love Charles, and he does a great job on TV. But we had to shut his mouth up. He was talking a lot of mess that series.
Has he ever not talked a lot? That's what he.
Well, you know what? Charles backs it up most of the time, so you gotta give him credit. Love Charles.
He was fun to cover when he was in Houston because he would just plop down there after practice and just hold court, and there was just never a shortage of material.
I tell everybody, one of my best teammates ever, he'll give you his heart, anything. I mean, Charles was an amazing teammate, man. I wish we would have caught him a couple years earlier. I think we got him a little older. We gave up too much. We gave up Sam, Mark Bryant, Chucky Brown, Robert. We gave up young guys in their prime. So I thought we made a mistake. Even though I enjoyed my time with Charles, great, great teammate. I wish we could have kept our young crew together and give us another shot to make a run at the championship.
Yeah, and my favorite, and I didn't even think about this till now, but my favorite Charles Barkley story, and I don't know if you remember, I used to bring my daughters out once in a while to practice. Kennedy, my youngest, was about 3 years old. I had her out at practice, and she was with me after interviewing Charles, and she says, "Are you Charles Broccoli?" She called him Broccoli. He picked her up, took her back, and just stuck her in the washing machine, and just
really?
this day remembers that at 3 years old.
That's pretty cool. And that's who Charles is. Everybody, he's going to say what he's going to say. But I've been around that man. That man got a heart of gold, man. I enjoy listening to him. He's a great dude. And people don't know how good Charles was. He's one of the 50 greatest players. He's only 6'4", 6'5". But his size, the stuff he did with that body is a credit to him. And now look at him. He's even more successful after basketball. Him and Shaq and Kenny Smith, Ernie do a great job on TNT.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, you had the privilege, and you mentioned both of them, playing with two of the other 50 greatest basketball players, Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon. In those back-to-back seasons that you mentioned, very different seasons, really. And we don't have to go recap them all or whatever, but what was the biggest difference? I mean, to that first championship was so special. That second one, obviously, some of the things we already talked about, but just kind of go from your standpoint, the biggest difference between those two.
The first one was special. Two of the best defensive teams going at it. I'm very happy for Dream because it looked like Ewing got him in college, and it's good that Dream got his revenge in the NBA. Just the first one was just a physical one. I remember that against the Knicks, just beating each other up. But the second one, like you mentioned, was a lot of adversity that season. And I thought we sort of had fat cat-itis after winning the first one. We weren't as focused in the second one. Was very disappointed that Otis got traded because Otis was a big part of our team in our first championship. And that trade really bothered a lot of guys on the team. Myself, Vernon, Clyde played our position, so we knew when Clyde was coming in, he was going to eat a lot of those minutes up. But Clyde came in as a pro, and he didn't say nothing. He showed us. I remember Dream being out maybe the last 18, 20 games of our second-year run of the championship, and Clyde sort of carried us. Even though we had an 18-18 record, I think it was a 500 record, I felt really good about having two outstanding players going into the playoffs. Clyde was playing at a high level, and I already knew what Dream brought to the table. And once, we got to the playoffs, the Utah series, everybody knows the situation with Vernon. And there was a lot of pressure on the other guys, and Clyde mentioned it in the Clutch City documentary. If we lose, everybody going to blame me. So I credit him for having a lot of pressure on him, and him and Dream having both 40 in that game 4 first round of Utah. And after I saw that game, I said, wow, we got two special players. And I always felt that we had a chance to win the finals, and we end up doing it. I mean, no home court, having to go on the road, Dream outstanding performance against David Robinson. Robert, of course, making big shots throughout. Sam having big moments. Me, Kenny Smith. That was a fun thing about our team. We had two consistent players, and Akeem and Clyde, but we always had a third guy stepping up with our team.
And did you guys at the time, I mean, I know you can look back and of course see it because we've talked about it for so many years, but at that time, did you feel what those championships, especially that first one, meant to the city of Houston?
No question. I mean, I remember the parade. I remember the second year though, Patty. I'm in my limo and I'm on 59 and everybody gets out their car and celebrate right in the middle of the highway. That was so cool. Everybody's on the highway. Nobody's mad at each other. There's no fighting. It's just everybody celebrating. I saw brooms on the highway, people sweeping brooms on the highway. It was just amazing to see what a sport event can do for a city. It just galvanized our city. I mean, the pictures of Richmond. I look at the picture the first year of Richmond, the street of Richmond that had bars. It was just people bumper to bumper, just enjoying themselves. There was no violence. It was just people excited for the city. So it was cool to be a part of. And 25 years later, people still talking about it. Every time I walk into the Toyota Center, I'll always look up. My first thing I do at the Toyota Center is look at these two banners. And that just brings a lot of joy to me to be part of that group. It was fun to be part of that group to bring it to Houston. And
the one man's name that we haven't mentioned, the leader of that group, Rudy Tomjanovich. We just inducted Rudy into the Houston Sports Hall of Fame this incredible night. Now he's finally going into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Obviously, your thoughts on that, how deserved it is, and how much he meant to you as a player, person, team, everything.
That man meant everything to me. Traded for me. It was funny. Traded for me from Portland. And only one guy showed up to cover that trade when I come in. That was Mark Berman. Nobody knew about Mario Elie. And I ended up being a big part. Talked to Rudy last week. I've been advocating for him to be in the Hall of Fame. And I know he'd been watching and he appreciated it. He called to thank me. I said, you don't have to thank me. I thank you for trading for me, buddy. You traded me into a great situation. Got to play with Vernon and Sam Cassell, Clyde, Robert. I got to play with some great players. And Rudy had a lot to do with it. He knew what buttons to push. We had some tough personalities on that team, but Rudy knew how to handle everybody. He knew how to handle everybody. He knew it was Dream's team, and everybody else followed. He believed in us. When we got down in playoff series, he was always encouraging us. And I'm glad. I'm so happy for him. And his college career was outstanding at Michigan. He had a great NBA playing career. This man almost died, came back and became an all-star after that. Then became the Rocket coach and became a two-time championship coach. Then went and got an Olympic gold medal. I'm like, how is this man not in the Hall of Fame with his playing and coaching career combined? I thought it was a travesty, but the NBA got it right. But you know how good God is, Patty? He's going in with Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett, three of my favorite players to watch play. And I'm so happy for him, and I'm hoping to have the ceremony. I told him to send me an invitation because I went to school in Springfield, Massachusetts. That's where the Basketball Hall of Fame is. So I would love to go back and see some of my old college buddies and also to support Rudy T on a very big moment.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just want to mention another coach because it's very timely. And you mentioned Utah and the passing of Jerry Sloan. Obviously, here's a coach that was on the other side of the ball, but everyone had such great respect for this man. Can you just sort of speak to that?
Love Jerry Sloan. One of my favorite coaches. Rudy's up there, Pop, Sloan, George Carr, all these guys I really love and respect. I remember playing with the Warriors back in '92. A buddy of mine, Chris Mullen, you may have heard of him, Patty. He played on the Dream Team. So they had a game in Portland. So I told Chris, you might even give me a ticket. I'll fly up there, watch you play. He said, hey, no problem. So before the game, I'll go to there's that Marriott bar downtown in Portland. So I go there, have a couple of drinks before the game. And who I run to? Coach Sloan. Coach Sloan is in there. throwing a couple back because he had two of his players in the Olympics in Carl and Stockton. So just sitting down talking with this man, just the nicest guy, great basketball knowledge. But I just love his fierce competitiveness. He don't back down from nobody. If you know his history as a player, he was Mr. Bull before Michael Jordan was Mr. Bull. He was just tough-minded. He sort of reminded me of a junkyard dog type of player. I sort of play like Jerry Sloan, just attitude. And just to see him go after players, too. When you mess with one of his players, Jerry Sloan, to get up in your face and ready to take that jacket off. That's what I really loved about him. And just competing against Stockton and Malone all in playoffs, having to guard that pick and roll 20 different times, Patty. Rudy must have had 20 different defenses for this pick and roll because it was just so hard to guard. They did such a great job with their spacing and execution. I mean, it was just tough playing against those guys. I know we beat them a couple times, but they got us a couple times too.
And Junkyard Dog, where did it actually come from?
Well, a lot of people, the way I play, just hard, always frowning on the court. I felt, Patty, coming from a Division II school and getting drafted in the 7th round, it's sort of like P.J. Tucker and Patrick Beverly. We all have the same mentality. We feel we have to prove ourselves because we didn't come up the conventional way. We weren't lottery picks. We didn't go to North Carolina or Kentucky. We had to go overseas. We got to go to CBA. We had to go all through different routes. And that's why the guys play the way they do, because they feel they have to prove themselves. And I always had a chip on my shoulder. When I stepped out on the court, I'm going to let people know that I belong on the court night in and night out. So
did another teammate start?
I guess a fan just said a junkyard dog and the name just picked up, and I see the dude Jerome Williams from Georgetown. He sort of later on in my career, he became a junkyard dog. So because he sort of plays the same type, just a hustle type of guy, does whatever the team needs, takes charges, dives on the floor, get into people's faces. That's sort of what a JYD is, sort of what P.J. Tucker is for the Rockets right now. He's the JYD right now. He does a great job. He does everything asked of him. He guards every position, without people asking. He just goes out there and competes. And that's what a junkyard dog is, a guy who competes night in and night out.
Yeah, and you talked about Chris Mullin and your kind of circuitous route to get to the NBA. You didn't have the scouts coming after you, the D1 schools. You had to go. But Chris Mullin was on your high school team, was he not?
He was, but he transferred his junior year and went to Zavarian, which opened it up for me. Me and him were one of the top 10 players in the city. My problem was, Patty, which I'm on my kids about, I really didn't take school seriously. I'm getting a lot of letters from all over the country, Oregon, Florida State. I was one of the best players coming out of New York, but I didn't take care of my books. And I was a late bloomer. A lot of people didn't know about me till late. So that's why I chose the route. I said either go to prep school, junior college, or go to Division II. So I decided, let me go Division II, make the best of the situation, see what happens. And it worked out pretty good for me. So I want to thank God. I want to thank my persistence and my belief in myself. I always felt I was going to be an NBA player, and I did all I could to get there.
Yep, you got those 2 championships, another one with the Spurs under your belt. And, going back, I'm sure you did. You watched The Last Dance, right?
Of course.
Of course you did. Just your thoughts, on, a great story, great content. Just to have anything would have been great. But I found it interesting, and maybe not, I don't know why, but, those 2 years that you guys won the championships, most of which Jordan was out, but it was not even, not mentioned like a speck. It just was totally glossed over.
Well, it was about Michael Jordan. I really don't care about us not being mentioned. I know a lot of people are mad about it. Everybody's mad about it. Isaiah's mad, Pippen mad, Horace Grant mad. I can't be mad because every time I walk around Houston, I walk in that Toyota Center, I know what we did. We accomplished an amazing feat. And people don't give us credit for that second one, Patty. We're the only 6th seed in NBA history to ever win a championship. And we had the hardest road out of any team in NBA history at 72.6%. All the teams we played that second year had home court, had 59 or more wins. So we had a hard road. So we don't get credit for that, but I know what we did. I know we did for this city. and that can never be taken away from us, whether Michael Jordan or Last Dance don't mention it or not. We are world champions. We're back-to-back world champions. Not a lot of teams can say that. It's very hard to do, but we're back-to-back champions. I got the pictures. I got the rings. I got everything to prove that. You know, Michael Jordan or Last Dance not validating that doesn't bother me. I just know that we're champions.
So after your playing career, of course, you went into coaching. You coached, and I probably won't get them all right here. I think it was the
San Antonio, Golden State, Sacramento, Dallas.
Yeah.
New Jersey / Brooklyn, Orlando. So I've been around.
Yeah. How was that transition? I mean, you did it for a number of years. You seemed like you, at the time, from what I saw and remember, had a great rapport with the players. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. Just your memories of being a coach.
It was funny, Patty. I went to Phoenix. They offered me another year. I was toward the end of my career. I would think I was 37 at the time. But they liked the leadership and stuff I brought to the team. But me and my wife wanted to have kids. So I thought that was most important. So during us trying to have children, we went through it in vitro. I got a call from the Spurs president, R.C. Buford. He said, Mario, won't you come down and hang out? We're doing training camp. I said, cool. So I went up there and, was in the training camp. What's funny about the coaching side, Patty, the stuff the coaches say about the players in there, I wonder what Popovich was saying about me. I've been there in the coaches meeting, they just killing players. We're going to cut him tomorrow. We're going to practice him this morning. We're going to cut him right after practice. I'm like, whoa, I wonder what the hell y'all was saying about me. So just being in there with, of course, the great Popovich, I got the coaching itch, and then I asked him after training camp. So I said, Coach, if anything opens up, just let me know. He said, Mario, we don't have nothing this year. If some in the future come up, we'll let you know. So the year goes by, we have our kids, and me and the wife are in L.A., I think, following summer, and my phone rings. It's a 210 number. It's Popovich. He said, Mario, I got a coaching job. I've been getting 2,000 phone calls a day about the spot. Do you want it? Yes or no? I said, just send the contract, buddy. I'll be there. Just send the contract. And that's how my coaching career started. I want to thank R.C. Buford and Coach Popovich for getting me in the coaching game.
Yep. And do you ever think about going back to it?
Of course. I mean, this pandemic is holding a lot of stuff up. I got one more little coaching run, and I'll be ready to retire. I'm getting up there. I'll be 57 in November. Still have an itch to coach. Would love to coach a couple more years. And just call it a day, but I still love the game. I watch college. I watch NBA, G League. I watch everything. I love everything about the game, whether it's playing on the coaching side, also breaking down film, making younger players better, showing them film. So whether it's college or NBA, I wouldn't mind trying college, Patty. That'd be pretty neat to work with some college kids. So I'm open to college or NBA to return to coaching.
And you talk about the wife, the mother of your children, of course, Gina Gaston from ABC 13, one of our partners here. I look back, and as a mom in the media, and you're playing, you're traveling, you're coaching, whatever. How difficult was that for you guys to juggle all that with triplets and full-time careers like that?
It was hard, and I credit my wife just being strong and focused. We had a lot of help. I don't want to count how many nannies. I must have had 15, 20 of them, Patty, throughout our career, throughout my kid's 17-year lifetime. I mean, God, we had so many. But these women would just care and love for our kids. That was very important. We chose some good people. We chose wisely. And my wife, she's just an organizer. To this day, she organized the day for everybody, for the kids. She comes home between work. She comes home and cooks. She's an amazing mom and woman, man. I thank God for putting her in my life. She just knows how to handle a bunch of stuff at a time. Just give me one thing. I can handle that. Gina needs 7, 8 things to handle. She said, honey, I just can't handle one thing. You got to throw a bunch of stuff at me. That's how I like it. She likes the chaos. She knows how to handle it. And more power to her. She does a great job. She's a great mom. And
and me, after we get off this, I'll tell you about my theory between men and women. Men are like spaghetti. You guys have little waffle boxes. Our thought, we'll go into it in more detail. But
yeah, y'all got it going on, Patty. Y'all got it going on. Y'all got it going on.
In the community, I know you've always been active, done a lot of things. I know you sit on Whitney Merciless's With Mercy Foundation board. We had him on the show here a couple weeks ago. He was our Houston Sports Awards Sportsmanship Award recipient for all that he does in the community with his With Mercy Foundation and, supporting children and families with disabilities. I know that's special to you as well.
It is. I mean, Whitney's just a great human being. I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple years ago. A lot of people don't know I'm Haitian, and so is Whitney. So we definitely got something big in common. He has a huge heart. I've been to Haiti a bunch of times to do some philanthropy work with my family. It's one of the poorest countries out there. So it's a very sad situation over there. But to see a role model like Whitney, who goes out his way to give back to this great community. I did an event with him last year at the hospital. We went to give out meals to some sick patients. And during the football season, for him to do all this stuff, that's a credit to him. He was up for NFL Man of the Year. I was praying that he got it. I'm glad he got mentioned. But just a good human being. He just has a big heart, met his mom and dad, great parents. He was raised correctly. And once I got together with him, I said, I'll do whatever it takes to help him out. And just a good dude. He does a lot for the community. And that With Mercy Foundation, he's always out on the road doing stuff. So I'm glad to be on the board and to support him and his work.
Well, one of his teammates, Cullen Gillespie, has partnered with Energy Ogre, and together, on behalf of for you doing this, they would like to make a donation to Mercy. Here he is.
What's up, Mario? Patty, as always, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here. I'm Cullen Gillespie, fullback for the Houston Texans. So this week we're actually working with the With Mercy Foundation, which is one of my teammates, Whitney Merciless. Great guy. What's up, Whit? The With Mercy Foundation advocates for support of families of children with special needs. So on behalf of myself and Energy Ogre, we'd like to make a donation to the With Mercy Foundation to help advocate and care for some of those local families. Mario, I'm a huge Houston sports fan, big Rockets fan. Peace.
Colin, I want to thank you for the donation to the With Mercy Foundation. It's big time. Whitney does a lot of good stuff in the community. I appreciate your kindness with the donation. It's going to a worthy cause. You got a lot of athletes doing a lot of great things out there. And I support Whitney and the things he's doing for this great city of Houston. And Colin, once again, thank you for the donation, my man.
All right, so before we let you go, we do a little thing called Q19, 19 quick questions. I never get to all 19, so don't worry, we won't be here all day, but I'm going to throw them at you, just spit them back, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, the series you've been binge watching while you've been queued up.
Little White Fires.
No,
Little Fires everywhere. Little Fires everywhere.
That was good.
Yeah.
With Reese Witherspoon?
Yes, and then Kerry Washington.
Yeah, I like that. What kind of music do you listen to?
R&B and hip hop.
All right, toughest player you ever defended?
Michael Jordan.
Toughest player you think that's defended you?
Doug Christie.
Favorite Rockets uniform?
The red, baby, that red, that rocket red, that mustard and red, that road red. That's my favorite one.
Best piece of advice that anyone's ever given you, or maybe that you give to someone else?
Just work hard. That's it. My dad worked at a factory. He had to get up at 4:30 in the morning every morning. And he just said, just work hard and good things will happen.
Favorite sport that's not basketball?
Baseball.
Favorite baseball player?
Thurman Munson.
Oh, catcher.
Leader. Love him. Number 15, miss him.
Who did you look up to as a kid growing up?
My brother and my dad. As far as NBA players, I love Joe Dumars, Magic Johnson, Sidney Moncrief. Just like guys who can do different things on the court. Swiss Army knives.
Most prized possession?
My children. I love them three to death. It was hard getting them here, but I love them three to death. My kids.
Give me something on your bucket list.
I would like to go down to Australia and New Zealand I've been to Asia. I've been all over Europe. I've been to Russia. I've been to Africa. But I want to go down to Australia and New Zealand. I heard it's great down there. I want to go down there. That's on my bucket list.
All right. The final question I ask everybody, with all that you've accomplished, all that you've done on the court, off the court, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
Just a guy who went out there and played hard and was a team first guy. I'm proud to say I was a role player. A lot of guys don't like saying that, but ain't nothing wrong with it. I want to be known as a guy who went out there and gave it 110% on the floor every night.
All right, Mario Elie, thank you very much.
Patty, thank you for having me. Good seeing you, girl.
You too. Great stuff from Mario Elie. Always fun to take that trip down memory lane and look back at some of those championships. All right, the moment you gamers have been waiting for, in partnership with the Houston Outlaws. For those of you that are at home gaming together in any way, shape, or form, whether it's online, whether it's in your backyard, whether it's with your animals, well, we have it for you. The favorite videos of the week. Here they are.
I could have got nano.
Log off. Stick off. Nice.
Let's go, Violet. Nice boobs.
Go, dude.
Victory. Violet with them boobs. Check this out. Hey!
All right, keep those videos coming. Just hashtag gaming together. Thank you guys so much for sending them in. That's going to do it for this week's show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next week on Queued Up.